Hi, I'm Ilse Kruger. This is Visual Arts, and today we'll do Face of Me. What you will need for this lesson is your paper, your pencils, and your eraser. So a pencil set. As said before, I have my pencil set here going from 2H to 8B. So you do quite use all the different types. You can use some cookies as well. We don't need any watercolor or acrylic paint for this specific lesson. We might need that in the next lesson. And then a real life portrait or image to work from. I have example, let me just get it, sorry, 1 second. I have example this one here. So it is good to work from a real life or a image that you can reference to. It's very nice to work from that. And then I would like to go in and just discuss a bit more about some history and some past painters. So faces from the past. So we have here a couple of portraits that we did. You're welcome to go in and ask yourself these questions. There's a lot of questions at the bottom. Which portraits do you prefer? Why would you like someone to make a portrait of you? Do you think this painting is a drawn painting, and who is it made for? If we have a look at the top, as said before, you either were very famous or wealthy. It was generally just the wealthy or rich that had their self-portraits painted. So it's not like today's society where we actually have a camera and we can snap a picture. So the only way you had a portrait of yourself is if someone painted it. Self-portraits took about a year to complete. So imagine standing in the same position all that time. And then also, I think it was about in the medieval times where self-portraits started. So here you can see a couple of self-portraits that were made. It's very realistic, especially this one here in the middle is very true to life. It is very realistic in nature. Then we have faces from the 20th century. So here you can see a lot of them are very distorted images. Like this one here from Pablo Picasso. It is very abstract and very contrasting colors that he's used here. Here's another one of him as well. You can see it is a lot more abstract, very stylized. So, and there's one from Van Gogh. He's very well known for the styles that he's used. So here's a couple of questions. How do the faces painted in the 20th century different from the older portraits painted earlier? So definitely you can see it's more abstract. It is not as true to form and as realistic as previous ones. The styles, you can actually see some of the paint brushes. It is not as what you would say smudged or as smooth. You can actually see the styles in the 20th century. You can actually see the paintbrush strokes, but you can't really see it as much in the faces from the past. And then you can just ask yourself as well, do you think that these faces in the 20th century were painted to give a recording of a person, or because the artist wanted to express himself or show the emotion of the person he painted? So you also didn't have cameras that time. So did he paint it to express how he was feeling at that time? Was it purely because he wanted to just have a picture of himself so that it can be recorded in history? Or was it truly because he was going through a lifetime, he had a situation, and he wanted to express himself through art? So yeah, it's quite interesting to see the differences and how much a couple of decades can actually make a big difference on paintings and the styles of paintings that came from that style. Also, the depression and all of that have a big impact on people, and also you can see it in their art. We're going to go over to drawing faces. So we want to practice a few times in our sketchbook. We did have a bit of this in one of our previous sessions as well. I just want you to go out and do the outlines of the faces. We're not going to go into too much detail, just so you can familiarize yourself with, and so your hand can start getting the feeling and be more free when you're busy doing your exercise. So I just want to see here. Yes, so exactly what I said, using a clear photo image. So no shading or coloring for this exercise. Here they have a little bit of a template for you. I also have done a template in the previous exercises as well. I also would like to show you two of my self-portraits that I did in high school. These were purely sketches that I did. It's a bit blurred, but you can also see in this time, it was around about matric, grade 12, which I was doing this one. You can see the textures that I've used here, the scratching. I was very into fantasy and fairy tale at that stage of my life. You can see the texture that I've used in the tree. So, and at this time I was also very blonde. I didn't have dark hair like I do now. So you can see how I've used these and the different techniques that I've used for these paintings. And you can also see I haven't used as much shadow as some of the other people usually do. So going into this one, I do have this template. I'm just going to start off on a new page. I want you to exercise these and only do the line drawings. So I will put these up for you so you can see. With this one, you start with the circle of the eye. So it's very easy to draw two circles. So you'll just familiarize yourself. Only draw two circles. So we want the pupil and the outer circle. Then you'll go in and put over the top lid. You'll go and add in the bottom lid. And then remember your corner of your eye here and add the crease up at the top. And then you'll just go in and add some lightly, just some eyelashes. So remember, this is only the outline. We don't want any shadowing. We just want you to practice it a bit more. In the next lesson, we're going to do a bit more about mixed media. So we do need to go into it a bit more. It's going to be a bit more detailed, and we're going to do sections of the face. And there we're also going to do some shading, and it's going to be a lot more in depth than this lesson here. So we have the eye. The nose, also remember it's two circles, a smaller circle on the side. And try to get pictures that is straight on, not slanted to the side, because it's going to be difficult for you to refer back to that. My face is face on. You can see it directly. There's no angles. She's not looking to the side. Her eyes isn't slanted to the side. It's straight on. She's looking you straight dead in the eye. So that's exactly what we want for these exercises, to look straight. Also, I'd recommend not using anything with teeth. It can be a bit difficult to do teeth and you get all these lines as you smile. So it's better to just get a normal neutral face. So no smiling and no teeth would be ideal. So going into your nose, you've got this here. You'll add in your nostrils, just the outlines and so on. And then you can add in those details. Then going over to the mouth, it's 2 circles at the top. You can add in a little cross-like section here. And I call it a teardrop. So it's straight, but almost looks like a teardrop. So there's the outlines. And just go in and practice these. Practice makes perfect. And we want it quite loosely. I wouldn't say a line drawing essentially, but just have it a little bit more freehand and not as in detail as these. With hair, it's quite interesting. I'll go into a bit more into that as well. I call it the ribbon effect. So if you have a look at ribbon, you will always see a little bit of highlight on it, and you'll have a section where there is no shadows on it. Then remember the texture, you can always add in your lines like so. So you will add in your lines. So this is called the ribbon effect. Well, I call it the ribbon effect. I labeled it as the ribbon effect. But essentially, hair do have a shine to it. So if you had to have hair on a bend or a curl, you'll see that there's highlight on it. So remember also back to the first sessions where we did the 7 elements of art, shadowing and 3D. To have it look more 3D effect, you need to have the shadows and the highlights in the right places. So you'll add in your very dark pieces and your highlights. And obviously the more you add and the more you go into it and the more details you add and the more lines you add, the more realistic it will become. Sometimes it's the smallest little details that make the biggest effect. Small details on a nose can affect the entire face. So just go in and draw exactly what you see, not what you think you see. A lot of times I do have my students making mistakes. They think they see it this way, but it's not actually what's on the image. So you need to take your image and actually analyze it and go into it and analyze. I will have a bit more on that in the next lesson, and I'll just explain to you a bit more what to look out for and how to analyze your image so you can draw it better. So there you have it. I call it the ribbon effect. So if you look from far, it looks like hair. You can also use, we've got a little scratching tool. I just need to find it. I'll show you in the next video. It's a scratching tool that we actually use. Over here it is. We get all different types of ones. So you can see there's different sizes as well. I have shown it before, but I'll just quickly demonstrate what it does. So it's a scratching tool. We use it in pottery and possibly sometimes they use it for nails as well to do some forms. But if you had to scratch, you might not be able to view it on the top camera, but if I had to go over it, can you see it's almost like magic is appearing? You can actually see the scratches that I did is coming through. So that's also a technique that you can use for hair or any type of furry animal or any type of hair that you would like to use. Then eyebrows, it's very straightforward, it's straight up. And then you can see it starting to change direction. And your ears, exactly the same. Remember, your ears is almost in line with your nose and in line with your eyebrows. So no one person is the same. Everyone's different. Everyone has different faces, different facial forms. So it is essential to look back at your picture and draw from your picture or draw from the image that you have. If you have a live model that can model for you, that's even better as well. Just make sure that they sit still and don't change directions. But the best is to refer back to your image all the time, and you would be able to see what their facial features are. So everyone is different, and generally, most often, your left side isn't the same as your right. If you had to look, your left and your right side is not the same. That's why I always say your eyebrows are sisters, they're not twins, because your one side of your face is different. And you'll often have people saying, oh no, my left side is my good side, or my right side is my good side, because your face isn't the same. It isn't 100% symmetrical, it's asymmetrical. Very little people actually do have symmetrical faces. So I hope it was informative. There is a little video at the end of this. I'll show it to you. It's a bit more about facial features. This artist is very good. Sylvie is very good with charcoal. She's a very good artist. I've been following her for quite some time. And she also only does human and portrait faces, and she also goes a lot into detail with hair. Have a look at how she explains it, and also how important it is that your shadows and your highlights are in the correct places, as it makes a big difference. And don't be afraid to have too much contrast in your image, because contrasting makes a big difference. Thank you so much for joining us in this lesson. We'll see you later. Bye.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'd love to talk about things I wish I could tell to my younger self, being a little lost at the beginning of my own journey. And I also share the process of one of my latest drawings. I picked 5 little tips, but there are certainly more things that deserve our attention, but I'll talk about the others in my next videos. Also, if you like to watch the real-time process of this drawing and its narrated version, the narrated process, please check out my Patreon account. There are more than 200 videos right now, full of real-time processes, tips and tutorials, and it would be great if you consider becoming part of my Patreon family. So let's get into the first one, and that is about the materials for drawing. What I would tell to my younger self is you don't have to use expensive professional tools for your creation. When I started, I used to look for professional paper to draw on, and I felt like my drawing shall have less value, or I can't get to another level just because I draw on an ordinary paper. The most frequent question I get from you is what brand of paper I use to create such a smooth and soft kind of shading. You know, for the most of my drawings I use just an ordinary paper, no artistic brand. Just a paper I found in a local stationery, not even in a local art store, it's just a sketchbook. What I do care about is the surface of the paper. I don't look for the perfect one. I just look for the one that would respond to the pencil the way I want to, smooth or rough, depending on if I want the surface to be visible in the final drawing or not, that's all. The smooth surface helps me to achieve the softer results. But what I would tell to my younger self is it's more about your way of drawing, the soft approach of your shading and the gentle touch of the pencil. Just focus on this always. And the same may be applied regarding the erasers I use for precise erasing. You don't need a professional tool for it. You can use any hard eraser and adjust it for yourself by creating a simple sharp edge on it. It's great the brands make these special tools for us. It's much easier, right? But it doesn't mean that you can't create something beautiful without them. The second thing I would like to talk about is to make it all more comfortable for yourself. Just create better conditions for your creating. It can be using plants, candles, music, anything that makes you feel safe and comfortable. For me, there is one really practical tip, and that is using an easel for drawing. I used to draw on a table, and as I was drawing a few hours a day, my back started to hurt and I did not feel comfortable in the position at all. So I looked for some options that might be more suitable for me, and I found out that it's much more comfortable to draw on an easel. I have a little table easel and it helps me to keep my back straight, and overall I feel so much better in that position, and it just makes the process easier for me, and there is some more ease in the process, more lightness in the process. And it doesn't matter if you are drawing a larger scale of drawing or just a little one, it doesn't really matter. And you can also use a larger easel, not only the table easel, it's totally up to you. It's stable, so you can put your hand on the easel and have a stable support for your drawing hand, which is important, especially while working on smaller details. I try to make a lot of breaks to stretch or to go for a walk or to do some other type of work that doesn't require sitting, drawing or writing. The third thing I would like to talk about is using references. While using reference photos for drawing can teach us a lot, it's really helpful, and I totally recommend using them to draw from, especially in realism. But what I tend to do when I started as a beginner, and actually I believe many of us do so, is trying to create exactly the same image as it is on the photograph and setting this as a goal. Well, during my journey I realized that references are about much more than just recreating them. Observing can teach us a lot about the object we want to draw, the natural structures, how the light affects the appearance of the form, how the object responds naturally to its surroundings, and much more. And they're here in your process for you, helping you to learn. They shall serve you as a guide. And being aware of this helped me to release some of the pressure I felt as a beginner. I do not create an expectation for my drawing to look like the reference itself. This takes a lot of pressure from you, and you won't be disappointed, because it's almost impossible to recreate exactly the same image. So you will never be fully happy with the result when you set this as a goal. One thing that I realized on my journey is to be aware of the stages of the process, the steps. And in this case I mean the one concrete piece of drawing that's on your desk at the moment. In the past I used to stop working on a concrete drawing just because I did not like it before I finished it, not being conscious of the building process, that it should look like this. It's just right because I'm in the middle of making. You will go over a few times with a few layers of shading, or you'll reshape the outline slowly into the final result. And try to put it this way: this stage is not something to be fixed. It's totally alright. It should look like this because you just created the second layer of shading and it can't look like a 3D form already. It is not about fixing mistakes. It is alright like this because you're going through stages, natural stages of the process. Everyone needs to go through them to get to the result. That might look different for everyone, but it does not mean it's wrong. And I believe there is a different energy of the process when you are aware of this. There are two ways. In the first case, you can go through the process believing there is something wrong with the drawing all alone. It can even make you give up working on it. Or you can be aware that it should look like this and you're building it up slowly from nothing to something. And the same approach can be applied also to your whole art progress. It's like when you plant a seed and then you come back to it regularly to see how it grows. Every time you see it, you can be either grateful and happy for the little progress you see, or you can be disappointed that there is no flower yet. In the latter, you will find yourself disappointed for the most of the time, and it can even make you give up before you get somewhere. It's up to you. It's just the same thing, but different way of seeing it can provide it with another meaning for you or another feeling from it. And it can even bring a different result in the end. One of the most important tips I would like to say to my younger self is be gentle with your process. Actually, I'm learning it. I'm learning to be more gentle with my own process, and I can see it helps me in many ways. When I don't feel like drawing anymore, I just feel like having a break. I do have a break. And what's the difference? When I do not push myself and I do not let the time limit to be my guidance, I can focus more on the process itself. I can take the time to enjoy it and add soft touches to the drawing or be aware of the purpose of it. When I make a break, when I take a break and come back to the drawing, then I can see it from a little different perspective. There are many benefits when you don't push yourself and you don't stress out because you just don't feel like drawing all the time. It doesn't mean that you are not productive, because then when you don't feel like drawing, you can do another type of work that is not creative, or you just don't need to feel in a specific mood for it. It actually makes me happy knowing that the gentle approach may lead to a better feeling from both the process and the result as well. So that's all from me for today. I hope it was helpful. In case you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Also share it with your friends that might find these tips useful for them as well. And of course, there are some more tips I would like to share in my next video. So make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.